Good morning. Thank you for joining. We will begin here shortly. All right. Looks like most everyone is in that is in our waiting room. So we will go ahead and get started. We're going to start our recording. We are recording. Excellent. Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Dr. Tiffany Cron from the Colorado Office of Employment First and JFK Partners at the University of Colorado School of Medicine. Today's topic is exploring an innovative employment curriculum for transition-aged youth and families. Please feel free to type questions or comments in the chat box at any time, and please be sure to keep your microphone muted so that we do not hear any background noise. We are recording today's event and will archive it on the JFK Partners website, along with the other webinars in this transition series. We will also post the handout for today, which you are welcome to print or save for future reference. Following the webinar, you'll receive a link requesting an evaluation, and you may request a certificate of attendance within that evaluation. So without further ado, I'll introduce you to your facilitators today. So my name is Dr. Tiffany Cron, and I am the director of the Colorado Office of Employment First, and I have been in the field of disability for over 17 years and an online educator for 14 years. I have also been one of Colorado's person-centered thinking trainers for the last 11 years. I am a graduate of the National Association of People Supporting Employment First's Emerging Leaders in Employment First program. And I'm also the current vice president of the Colorado chapter of the Association of People Supporting Employment First, or you might know it by its acronym APSE, A-P-S-E. I'm driven by the belief and value that all people have the right to work and that support does not come in a one-size-fits-all model. And my facilitator today is Melanie Hansbrook, who is a curriculum developer and trainer who specializes in benefits counseling here at the Colorado Office of Employment First. Melanie has been a certified benefits counselor in Colorado for the past 21 years, where she worked with Colorado communities and persons with disabilities and their families, providing information around public benefits. This includes Social Security administered disability benefits, how to start and navigate the application process for these benefits, and how work and other life decisions affect a person's individual benefit situation once they're eligible. Melanie currently utilizes this skill set and past experience to improve benefits counseling services and capacity here in Colorado. She provides training to service providers, families, and individuals with disabilities in all topics related to benefits counseling, how work and benefits relate, and to increase employment conversations in the healthcare setting. Melanie hopes to promote new and exciting ways to influence positive change in equitable employment for persons with disabilities. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get this started. A few of our objectives for this session. Again, thank you for joining us today. We're going to be talking about, and you'll get the opportunity to learn the story behind the training curriculum that we developed that's titled A Brighter Future, Navigating the World of Disability and Employment. And within that, you'll get to learn the 6 important topics to understand when approaching youth transition to adulthood. And you'll also learn some resources that we shared and how to access this training, and then get connected to future opportunities to voice your ideas on training and information that can support youth transitioning to adulthood. So a little bit about us, since we're leading this webinar and develop this training. So again, we are the Colorado Office of Employment First, or you might see our acronym out there, COEF. Again, we are a program of JFK Partners, the state's University Center of Excellence in Developmental Disabilities, or the UCED. It's a program of the University of Colorado School of Medicine. And our work supports Employment First initiatives that have been set forth by the Employment First Advisory Partnership, as well as Colorado providers. We increase training and capacity, certification capacity, and support individuals with disabilities and their families to understand that work is possible. And we were developed to be Colorado's premier training and technical assistance center for Employment First initiatives and evidence-based practices. We are guided by our vision, which is to create a culture of inclusive, meaningful, and competitive employment for all people. And we do that through our mission of leading Colorado towards equitable employment for all people with disabilities through our collaboration efforts, our system innovation practices, and through training excellence. So what that kind of really means is that as an entity, we are a cross-disability focused organization. We help to promote and create a common expectation and confidence about work, and that employment leads to a financially secure, healthy, and fulfilled life for all people with disabilities and their families. So we are convening decision makers to improve those policies, to promote Employment First initiatives. And again, through the education and awareness, we are elevating the delivery of effective employment services throughout the state with evidence-based and evidence-informed training and through our ongoing learning communities. So to kind of kick us off in the realm of youth and the focus of employment, we're going to share with you a video. This is from a mini series that we created all about employment that was funded through the Developmental Disabilities Council here in Colorado. And this is going to be Molly Kirkham showing her perspective on why employment is for everyone, why it is important. So enjoy.
Employment is for everyone. Your life, your goals, real work, real pay. This video is part of an Employment First mini-series focused on encouraging all people with disabilities to consider employment and pursue their goals with the right support. This video features Molly. Molly is a young, vibrant female with brown hair, brown and hazel eyes, and blue glasses. Why is working important to you?
I think for me, working is important for independence, and also to prove to yourself that you can do more than you think you can. But then independence is because I think when you're with friends or in college, if you can bring up a job, it makes you feel more independent, and also it gives you kind of a purpose and a routine and something to do every day. And for me, again, it also allows you to become an adult and make those mistakes and learn from them. I think also in high school, it's like someone's always there to catch you or to push you up and work. If you make a mistake, you gotta own up to it. And I think that's what makes you more independent as an adult, is like learn how to work, figure out the skills, figure out solutions, and also learn how to react and be with other people. Independence also gives you trustworthiness, because if they know you can hold a job, then you have more responsibilities. So then it's independence and also getting out there and learning more about yourself through work and experiences. I think, yeah, if you work, you can buy a house, you can get a car, which all adds up to independence. But then routine independence and finding yourself is what I think is important about work to me.
What is the most impactful experience you've had on your employment journey?
One of the most impactful things I think was actually when I was interviewing, because when I first applied, the person hiring or the manager decided not to hire based on a disability. But what I think was impactful was like learning how to get around it and finding different ways to get employment. So I think it was impactful because there was a no. But what made it impactful was like deciding what I want to do and if it was the right fit. I think also just taking the challenge and running with it, I think is very impactful. And I think also what's impactful is seeing on the team like different ways people react. So like some of the managers like knowing how to like respond to a manager and also how to rate no and switch it to yes and find in different ways. And I think knowing yourself, for me, I was like, that no he gave me actually made me want to do the job more to prove him wrong. So I think for me, impactful was like finding the challenge and figuring out a way to fit it also. So yeah, so if it's manager or if it's like the system, finding ways around the no. Impactful would also be like teammates and finding new people and finding a group. It's very impactful. So I'd say taking not no for an answer is what I learned. Is knowing that even if someone says no, that could turn into a yes at the end.
On the screen is a collage of people representing the beautiful diversity of the human race. Employment is for everyone. Employment is for you. Learn more about employment by scanning the QR code on the screen or visiting www.employmentfirstcolorado.org. Learn more about the Colorado Developmental Disabilities Council by scanning the QR code on the screen or by visiting www.coddc.org. Special thanks to Molly for sharing her perspective. The music track is called Motivate by Wavecont and promoted by Chaucic.com. Visit chaucic.com/free-music/all. Creative Commons license CC BY-SA 4.0. Visit creativecommons.org/licenses/BY-SA/4.0. Recorded and produced by Melanie Hansbrook and Vicki Ortiz with the Colorado Office of Employment First. This project has been funded by the Colorado Developmental Disabilities Council.
Excellent. An amazing, uplifting, very impactful commentary there from Molly sharing her perspective. So that kind of really leads us into where we're at with talking about the curriculum that we developed. And so I am going to pass it off to my colleague, Melanie.
Awesome. Thank you, Tiffany. And I do want to point out in the chat, we had a question of where to access that video. That video, along with this whole video mini series that we created with funding from the Colorado Developmental Disabilities Council, is on our website. And so we have posted that in the chat for you. So you can access it there. So the name of the training or curriculum that we developed, we call it A Brighter Future, Navigating the World of Disability and Employment. Next slide, please. So the whole purpose behind this training was really to be able to provide a statewide curriculum. And that curriculum was meant to educate both youth with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and really all youth with all disabilities, and their parents and their guardians and their different support systems about employment first. And also in that, about the possibilities, all of the processes, potential services, navigating the systems that we have, and then different strategies for securing work. And we had a process that we went through to get to that. So next slide, please. So first off, we, as a group, we determined 6 topics that we felt most promoted employment conversations through transition, through youth in transition. With those 6 topics, we formed a curriculum development team. That team included really key input from a paid youth lead. We called them the youth lead. That was Molly. You saw Molly in the last video. You're going to see her in another video coming up. We also had a family member lead. This was a parent, a mom, that has a youth that is entering into transition and is going to be really involved in that process. And she was our paid family member lead. And then we also had subject matter experts in each of these 6 topic areas that we came up with. So we had members from our Colorado Office of Employment First team. Like Tiffany mentioned, she's an expert in person-centered thinking. My area, as Tiffany mentioned, is in benefits counseling. We had a medical student from Children's Hospital that worked with us in one of the topic areas. We'll go through a little bit more of that as we go through each topic, but that's how we formed this team. And this team worked together to work on each of these 6 topics. To also work on each of these 6 topics, we also held listening sessions. We invited youth and we invited families to help discover from them who was important or what was important to them and who was important to them in each of these topic areas. And so we did that to really reach individuals in what they wanted to learn from these topic areas, and even in some cases introduce them to some of these topic areas. With all of this, we ended up developing a 2-track training. So we had one specific track for youth, and we had one specific track for families, caregivers, different supports for youth. So the topics were the same across both tracks, but one was focused towards youth and one was focused towards family. In each topic area, we also included an activity. And the purpose of that was to really take what was in each topic area and give the individual, the user, an opportunity to apply what they learned through that activity. Or maybe it was an opportunity to reflect. Each activity was different for each topic area. And so it was an opportunity to kind of tie it all together and use the information that was given. We, during that time and currently, we offer the training on demand. We have a learning management system that can be accessed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And so that training is on demand. So it's on demand for new users. So as you go through and learn more about this, the process that we went through and the topics that we have, if you have an interest, we're going to connect you with that at the end of the training today on how to access it. And we also have it accessible for those users that have already gone through it with us. And so they can always refer back to the information that we provided with them. So next slide. So with that, we've got another video for you. And this is like an introductory video about this curriculum or training. Again, this is an introductory video, but we did introductory videos for each topic. And you're going to meet Molly and Jen, our family and our youth and family leads in this process. You're going to meet them in this video as well. But they did videos for each topic. They did an introductory video and they did an ending or you finished this part of the training video. And then they also did videos for us to tie up the training as a whole. So we had a lot of interaction with those leads available to individuals and a lot of just perspective from those that have lived experience. So with that, we're going to watch just about a 5-minute video.
Hi, I'm Molly. Welcome to the training, A Bright Future, Navigating the World of Disability and Employment.
Hi, my name is Jen Mendenhall, and I am a mom of a 15, almost 16-year-old daughter. She'll be 16 tomorrow with cerebral palsy. She is entering into 10th grade next year. We have been part of a youth and family group learning about different opportunities for employment for those with disabilities, which there is a lot of questions and a lot of navigating that need to be done.
I hope you enjoy learning about the 6 modules and you gain more skills and more resources for employment and navigating the disability world.
We have prepared 6 modules for you, both 6 in the youth and 6 with the family. So we hope that you find them quality and able to answer your questions.
It's a lot to learn, but you can do it. So let's get to it.
Enjoy.
All right, so what were the 6 topics that we determined were highly important for individuals that are transitioning? First, our module 1, it is what is employment first? Now, the whole tie-in theme about this, about the work that we do as an office and the direction our state is headed and how we believe employment should be viewed for individuals with any disability is employment first. So we have to make sure that individuals know what is employment first and what does that look like? And what are the founding principles and beliefs in that system? Our second module is on the development of employment skills. How do you know if you have skills, and how do you know what those are? How do you learn skills? Lots of different things in that module. Module 3, how employment fits into the education process, so your schooling. Module 4 was how to manage your health and how health impacts employment. Module 5 was all about the services and agencies that are out there that help you obtain employment. And then module 6 is with benefits counseling. So with each of those modules, we're going to go through each one at a time to talk with you about what that module focused on a little bit more specifically, and then what those resources are that we shared in each module, or some of the resources. It may not be the full list, but and we'll get those in the chat for you as we go through those. So with that, I'm going to turn it over module 1 back to Tiffany.
Thanks, Melanie. So yeah, as Melanie mentioned, and as you saw it in the video with Jen and Molly, there are 6 modules, and the modules that Melanie just reviewed are all the topics that were covered in both of the tracks. So we thought it was very important that youth and families were getting similar messaging, but the way that we developed each presentation of the information was very targeted. So like, for example, on screen, why is it important for youth? That could be potentially important in the family track, but when we said it in the youth track, we would say, why is employment important for you? So we kind of changed language to make it really feel important. So, the main topics that we covered when it was about Employment First was, again, that philosophy, what it is, what does employment first mean? Sometimes people are like, I've heard that thrown around. I don't even know what it means. So then we kind of would drill down a little bit more of like, why is it important for youth or to them? Why does it matter to youth and to families? How it can impact their decision-making or how they're advocating for services, and the different types of employment support. So competitive integrated employment and supported employment. We talked about customized employment, self-employment. So if any of those are new to you, just let us know, and we would love to dive in or sign up for the training. Then we dove into the importance of high expectations for employment and really drilled down from that perspective that we all have a sphere of influence. We can all positively and or negatively influence people. And so we want to make sure that we're setting high expectations, uplifting people, playing to their strengths and their interests and saying, yes, you can. So within that, we really talked a lot about the early conversations around employment and that employment is possible. So really promoting that dream and belief of like, oh, when I grow up, this is what I want to be. And really feeding into that. And in other sessions and other modules, of course, around like the skills that then kind of align with those career paths. And then the last thing that we did in this module was around developing a vision for life after high school. So that transition period, what's next? What am I going to do? So we kind of really utilized and brought in some person-centered planning techniques and tools to help families really craft a vision. We had families do this. We also had youth do this as an activity, and then they got to meet and talk and see if they were on the same page with these visions. Really, really great fun activities. So this is kind of what we did. But we also thought for today's webinar, you also might be wondering, well, what is Employment First? So we went ahead and threw in just one slide of information in case it would be helpful for you for background. So Employment First is the belief and value that all individuals, regardless of the level of disability, are capable of full inclusion and working in a competitive integrated employment. When we talk about competitive integrated, it's meaning competitive wages, real work for real pay, the opportunity for advancement, promotion, and they're working out in communities alongside everybody else, people that have disabilities, people that don't have disabilities, and that's what we want. It is, of course, the first and preferred outcome, regardless of the level of disability within those businesses found in the community. Like I said, that regular compensation, equal advancement, equal interaction with non-disabled coworkers. And we're doing this through creating expectations that all people can work if they want. And so it is a systems change. We're in a culture shift right now towards this belief, and we're helping to alleviate fears associated with working and helping to educate employers, which are very critical to the employment piece, on how to support a more diverse workforce. So thought that might be a little helpful as we're kind of using that term a lot today. But then kind of as Melanie mentioned, we gave a lot of resources, and this is not an exhaustive list. These are just some of the ones that, following each session that we had with either the youth or the families, we gave them additional resources. So of course, that we linked them with us. So the Colorado Office of Employment First and our website there, and Melanie has put these in chat for you. And the Colorado Association of People Supporting Employment First, so Colorado APSE, and their website, and then also the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network. Some really, really great toolkits that they have on their site. So again, not an exhaustive list, but kind of what we shared out for there. All right, so Module 2. Of course, Module 2 is kind of that development of employment skills, and really central to that was really the belief in understanding the importance of self-determination and self-advocacy, and that employment is a great pathway to being able to know oneself and to learn what is it that I like, what is it that I don't like. Both are equally valuable when it comes to employment. I might have thought I was going to be a fighter pilot and I was going to fly in those F-18 fighter jets. That was actually my, when you asked me in third grade what I wanted to do, until I realized I have the worst case of motion sickness. Like I can't drive in the backseat of any vehicle without getting sick, let alone probably be in a massive airplane flying so fast. So that wasn't for me. So you get to learn and test these things. My dad took me to like a gyro thing, and that's where I very quickly learned I can't do motion. But it's experiences like that. So self-determination, really knowing what we want, what we don't want, but then also the skills that come with that to then speak up and communicate, this is what I want, this isn't what I want. So that self-advocacy piece. So yeah, knowing ourselves is essential as a skill. What are our strengths? What are the things that we can do, our interests and our abilities? Getting out there, talking with employers to help alleviate some of those fears when it comes to that piece, if they've never done that. Interviewing, even mock interviewing, just kind of getting their feet wet. Let's do applications. Let's fill them out. Let's build resumes. Let's get creative with resumes. They don't have to look like the standard version. Maybe it's a video resume or a photographic portrait or display case of here's what I can do and let me show you what I can do. And then pre-employment transition services, which are really helpful throughout that transition in high school years to really work on learning employment skills. So this is really focusing on the importance of work-based learning, paid employment. We all want to really advocate for that throughout high school. It's a very common experience for high schoolers to have a job after school, on weekends, or during the summer or breaks. And we want to encourage people with disabilities to also be gaining those same experiences. But then within this, we also talked a lot about how technology can help one get a job and also help while they're on the job. So this was kind of all about development of those employment skills. And so again, as Melanie mentioned, they had a great activity where they got to practice their skills, identify and kind of think reflectively on what are the things that I like to do, and is that something that would relate to a job skill, something that I could turn into, from maybe a hobby into a career path. It's a great way to think of it. And again, similarly with all of the other modules, we shared a lot of resources. So these, again, just a snapshot of the modules resources from section 2. And this is the My Colorado Journey, so very Colorado specific. And it helps connect job seekers and students to careers, education planning, support resources through a guided process that really focuses on driving action. So kind of creating what are you going to do, those next steps, and that goal completion. So you're going to work towards those completions. So really, really great. We also had shared a great video on soft skills and the importance of that. So that video is there and it's linked. Again, Melanie shared that for you. And another video talking about just transition discoveries and what is preparing for employment. And again, kind of that ability to learn about oneself and their interests and what do they want to do, and kind of figuring out what's available in their communities. So some really great resources. And again, not an exhaustive list, but just a snapshot of what was provided for Module 2. So Module 3 was all about how employment fits into the education process. So of course, we couldn't have done this module without the support and expertise of bringing in an education expert. So we actually worked with Jennifer Stewart on this module, who's like our education liaison at the time. And she brought in a lot of great expertise here into this module. So we talked a lot about the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, the importance of that, making sure everyone is aware of what it is and how it works. But then within that, kind of talked about the secondary transition services, how they look, what to expect, and then really drilled down into the IEP process, or the Individualized Education Program, and setting appropriate and measurable goals, specifically ones that kind of focused on employment, because we started hearing from families that there wasn't a lot of conversations about employment in these IEP meetings or planning processes, and that or that they were told, oh, your child has a significant disability, they're not going to work, we don't need to talk about this. So it's kind of that ability again for families also to get some of that advocacy and feeling empowered to say, you know what, actually, you know, my child does have strengths and interests and wants to work. So let's plan for that. Let's create a goal. Let's work towards that. Setting them up for success is great. So through that, of course, the transition planning process, what all of that looks like. And then what is that transition assessment? So it's a helpful assessment for employment-related needs. We talked a lot about that. Of course, employment is a goal, as I just mentioned. So making sure that there's kind of some training opportunities, there's options available. And yeah, we're working towards that completion of a goal that aligns with employment. And then we also made some connections to different agencies and initiatives that are happening right now. So one of those being Colorado's Sequencing of Services Initiative. It's massive, it's huge. It's being piloted in a few different counties here in Colorado, and school districts that are running this initiative. So we shared a lot of great information about that. And then talked a lot about the coordinated student-led planning. So really impactful. Throughout these modules, we would often engage in different discussions with family members, like we would stop chatting and have family members connect and network. And it was really great to see family members say, oh, I'm experiencing this too, or somebody that's a little further in the process, like, oh, we did that too, and here's what worked well for us. So we found that that networking time in each of our sessions was really helpful for youth and for the families. And again, we shared resources. So just a snapshot of what was shared. And so the first one being the National Parent Center on Transition and Employment. Really great. They focus on different laws, the transition, all of the great things. So if you haven't checked that out, I encourage you to actually do that. Again, Melanie is fabulous. She's over there popping them into chat for us. So you have access to those as well. And then that Colorado Sequencing of Services that I talked about that's being piloted in different districts. They have an entire website here in Colorado dedicated to that. So you can go and learn more about that and what's happening. And then that Transition Discoveries, a transition planning video to help support that thing. Excellent. All right, and I will, at this point, transition over to Melanie for Module 4.
Awesome. Thank you. Before we jump into Module 4, I do want to get the question in the chat. Can school or the school district provide support while youth are getting DVR services? It really should be like almost like a partnership, I would say, where DVR is aware of and dialed into the IEP process, the discussions that are happening in the schools about not only employment, but transition as a whole in the school system. So it should be a partnership. So yes, the supports can be going on at the same time, if that makes sense. All right, so let's jump into Module 4, and I'll keep those questions coming as we go through these modules as well. We're happy to answer those. In Module 4, was all about how managing your health impacts employment. And so it was all about developing health goals. And it may not be the first thing that comes to mind when we think about or talk about work is health. Health is very closely tied to employment. And so in this module, we talked about developing those health goals and why is this important for future planning? What is that connection between health and employment? This is where we had our subject matter expert was a medical student and their attending doctor from Children's Hospital that came in and put this topic or module together for us. Because really, health and employment is a two-way benefit. Work is a way to keep you engaged, to keep you active, and work provides that sense of fulfillment. Which is important for things like mental health. And that can include things like meeting new people, like Tiffany mentioned, building that sense of community. And health is tied to having those things come to fruition. Through this module, we also talked about signs of a healthy workplace and signs of a healthy you. What is that? What does that even mean? Are there people you can talk to in your workplace? Are there people you can talk to at home? Do you have supportive coworkers? Do you feel some type of connection to those coworkers? And what might that look like in a healthy manner? We also talked about working within abilities, making sure that not that any one person has to be limited in what they pursue in employment, but when you're on the job, are you doing those tasks or what's assigned to you in a safe manner? Does it fit well for you and your abilities? And so we talk about what that looks like. We also talk about different strategies that support exercise, diet, sleep, mental health, maintaining your health. And really, these are strategies that are across the board for all of us on this call. Every time that we give this training, and as we were doing the recordings and putting this all together, they were good reminders for myself and for my colleagues about these are things that we can check in for ourselves because they are so tied to employment and ultimately overall health. So we have different suggested strategies throughout the module. And then we also address what are some potential challenges that you might feel or have happen at work that are related to health. For example, what if you feel like you need a little bit of space? What's an appropriate way to address that? What does that look like? Or maybe it's something like you brought in a healthy meal. You're eating healthy for your reasons, and you want to eat that healthy meal, but you have a group of coworkers that really want you just to go out to eat with them that day. Or maybe you're trying to save money and your colleagues want you to go out to eat with them, and that's something that you don't want to do. What's an appropriate way to address that? Or what are some plans around that? And then we have activities at the end of this module that help people go through those almost like role playing and asking those questions. What are some things that could come up and how could you address those? So again, a great way to connect employment to health, which is super important, again, for long-term connection to employment as a goal. So next slide, please. With that, we had, of course, resources, and Tiffany just put those in the chat for you. These are just a few. So we had, how do you meal prep when you're on a budget? We've probably all been there. And these are some great ideas on how to do that. We have how to work out. Are you a couch potato? Where can you start? What can activity look like? It doesn't for everyone always have to mean getting into a gym or maybe lifting weights or doing high cardio. It can look different for different people. So there's some home workout videos that we have there. And then also, what are healthy snacks? I think snacks for lots of individuals are a tough thing to navigate when you're trying to eat healthy because it's easier to grab, prepackaged junk. And so what are some healthy snack ideas and how to prep those? So like we've mentioned throughout all of the modules, these are just a few of the resources that we provided through the module, along with those discussion points to help people kind of drive it home. All right, so we'll go to module 5. Next slide, please. Excuse me. With Module 5, we start bringing it all together. So what are the services and agencies that are out there to help you obtain employment? How do each of these agencies, how do each of these resources support employment and support you reaching your employment goals? And what are your employment goals, not just an employment goal? We help a person get specifically connected to some resources. For example, we do feature the Youth Leadership Forum in this module, a great opportunity for individuals to connect and explore what they like, who they are, and how to be leaders in their own ways. We also talk about probably many agencies that you've all heard of, and if not, you will at some point. The Centers for Independent Living, which are great for addressing independence, and employment is a piece of that. The Division of Vocational Rehabilitation, who is our state agency, really centered around employment for individuals that experience barriers from disability. We talk about having these employment conversations with guidance counselors and what that can look like. And then we talk about accessing community center boards, which if you're not aware, we're going through some changes in Colorado, and ultimately there's will be some case management agencies that will be involved. Again, employment can be part of the conversations when you're looking at the plans and getting services through these agencies as well. And then we also talk about workforce centers. A lot of times workforce centers are seen as a place where someone without a disability can go, and they're not. They're a place anyone can go. And so it's about accessing the services and resources that they have available as well. And then lastly, we talk about what the importance of having a support system once you're employed. And it can be a support system that you might normally think of, like your parents or your support staff or someone that's in a professional role. But it can also be a support system at your job. And it can be much bigger than that. We have an activity in this module where an individual can work to chart who are the possible supports to ultimately help that person maximize success. Because ultimately, none of us are independent, right? None of us do any part of our lives independently. We all rely on someone else or some type of support to ultimately be successful in the things that we choose to do. And so we have a tool to do that. We're going to talk about that on the next slide. These are the resources that we talk about in this module. Again, not all of them, but some of them, and Tiffany's got them in the chat for you. There's a link to the Youth Leadership Forum, great video there that you can see and learn more about that. There's a link to the Colorado Workforce Centers. If you don't have exposure there, you can find your local workforce center through that link. And then the activity that we feature in this module is, it's easiest to say the Integrated Support Star versus Charting the Life Course Integrating Support Star, but that's the full name. And so you can take a look at that tool there that we use in this module, again, to, you're essentially filling in the star of these different areas of your life, and ultimately these are your supports. So that was our tying everything the activity that tied everything together for that module. And then I'm saving the best for last. I'm actually kidding. I think it's the best because it's my area, but that's benefits counseling, and that's module 6. So next slide, please. So benefits counseling is all about benefits. And this module talks about benefits counseling. It talks about how will employment impact Social Security benefits. So in this module, we do just focus on two, what I call the main or the most well-known benefits that are out there, even though benefits counseling focuses on way more than that. This module focuses on the basics of supplemental security income, which is SSI, and the basics of Social Security Disability Insurance, or SSDI. So you learn about the basics there, and then you talk about what is benefits counseling. If you haven't heard about that, it's a profession. It's a certified individual. It's a direct service, and people can learn how work goes with earning money, and how earning money affects their benefits. And so how do you access those benefits counselors? In this module, we also give specific guidance about how to access benefits counseling services. in Colorado, because each state looks a little bit different. And in our state, we actually have a few more pathways than some other states on accessing the service. And so it's important to know what those pathways are. And then with this module, in the module and through the activity in this module, we highlight a resource that we have had here in Colorado, I'm going to guess by 4 to 5 years now, called Colorado Disability Benefits 101. And it's a website. And we'll get that in the chat for you. But the website is all about Colorado disability benefits and employment. And it can be a website, or it can be used for employment exploration. It can be used for if you're on public benefits and you want to know how a specific work scenario is going to affect those benefits. You can see videos on the website. You can get linked to all kinds of resources on this website. And so it's really something that if you haven't heard of it, you haven't checked it out before, this is your call to do that and go learn a lot. It can be overwhelming. There's so much on there. So just remember that when you get on there. You can go as many times as you want, break it up. All right, so with Module 6, we did do resources as well, and we highlighted just a few of them here. The Social Security Blue Book is highlighted in this module because in this module, we also talk about what does the application process look like for Social Security benefits? What's important to know about how Social Security changes from being a youth to the day a youth turns age 18 and magically becomes an adult. The Blue Book is the medical definitions that Social Security uses to determine eligibility. It's a piece, and it's not all of eligibility, but it's a piece of eligibility for Social Security disability benefits, SSI and SSDI. A benefits counseling guide. This is a guide that was developed by Colorado APSE Benefits Counseling Subcommittee or Benefits Planning Subcommittee. And it's a guide. It's currently under construction, but you can access it on our COEF website, which is listed here for you. And you can access it in a few other places. So you'll see it around. I should tell you what it is. It's a guide that tells you what is benefits counseling, what can you expect from benefits counseling, and then how to access it, all our different funding streams, essentially, that fund benefits counseling in Colorado. And then also who, by name and by email and by phone number, who can you contact to get benefits counseling services? Who are the certified individuals to do that? So again, it's in a few different spots. Our website is one way to do that. You'll also see it in DB 101, which Tiffany already put in the chat. And then lastly, here I've included the Social Security Red Book. Yep, Social Security's got a Blue Book. They've got a Red Book. And if you were to get them in print, that's why they're called the Blue Book, because they're blue. Well, the first one's blue and the other one's red. But the Red Book talks about all of what we call work incentive programs. Work incentives are programs available to individuals that are on some of our public benefit programs, most specifically SSI or SSDI, those Social Security benefits. And they're work incentives. They're programs that help you help Social Security count less of your income from employment, which means your income from employment can have less of an effect on your actual benefit check. So if you want to learn about those, it is Social Security written, but it's pretty well written for a Social Security publication. But you can get the same information from your benefits counselor. Do you access them through your benefits counseling guide? It's all kind of tied together. So I'll keep that in mind. All right. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Tiffany to kind of tie up today and go through some reflection.
Excellent. Thank you, Melanie. So a part of this curriculum, we had so many people participating in the training that we thought it'd be really great to kind of have or invite youth and adults that participated in it to share during last spring's Employment First summits that we held. And so these next few slides are really about a youth reflection on the curriculum. So this is Lily Roberts, and she participated in the A Brighter Future, Navigating the World of Disability and Employment training program, the youth curriculum. And she here, of course, she shared her feedback during our panel presentation at that summit last spring. And these next few slides are what she had to say about her reflection. We thought it'd be important to share that with you today. So Her first emphasis point was what she liked about the training program. So she liked the descriptions and the explanations. They were easy to understand. She liked the visuals and the videos in the presentation. She liked the teachers, and that you could do this from the comfort of your home and without sensory issues or concerns. She didn't have to worry about transportation, trying to get to our training, and that she was able to ask questions. So similar to our presentation today, where if we see something in the chat, we would do that. We would do that during the trainings as well. Very open and welcome to questions. So that's what she liked. What she learned is that she is capable of more than what people believe. That even with a disability, she will and should get paid equally as others that are doing the same job. She got confidence and courage and that it matters, and that don't allow others to tell you that you can't or that are going to bring you down. And to think about what you want to do in your life and then go out and look for it. So super cool. She also shared kind of the what's next for me piece. And so she was going to be participating in the PEP conference, which is Parents Encouraging Parents conference, and self-advocacy and leadership skills and networking and some social time. And in the short term, she wants to attend TAP, exploring some carpentry, electrical, and welding, and we'll get that acronym and pop it into the chat here in a minute for you. And then, of course, the Youth Leadership Forum, which is that 1 week at Colorado State University that's being run through Atlantis Community. She was going to be participating in that. She's going to apply for Leadership University through Special Olympics. She's going after a part-time job, and she's volunteering, and she wants to start her own business of customized essential oils and hand sanitizers. And so that's what the graphic on the right side is. It's Lotus Lily is the name of her company, and ready-made customized hand sanitizer. And we actually had members who have participated in this training, and they have gotten that and purchased some of her essential oils and hand sanitizers, so they're great. So it's amazing. Oh, and there it is. Yeah, the Teaching the Autism Community Trades. That's what the TAP stands for. Thank you, Melanie. So with that, I'm actually going to transition it back to Melanie for the importance of high expectations, which was kind of that really strong underlying theme for this curriculum. So Melanie.
Awesome. Thank you. And I was right in the middle of trying to answer the question that came in the chat, and I don't have a full answer. I can't hit send yet. But maybe Tiffany can grab that, just about DVR having a program that provides job coaching to youth younger than 18. My son is 17, so we can probably get some links in there for you too. Okay. All right. So all of this kind of, the purpose of our training, the ideas around employment first, the ideas around the different ways that we train professionals to work with individuals, all of this ties around to individuals with disabilities, again, regardless of disabilities. And I challenge you to think of someone with what society, even what a medical professional might think of as the highest needs, that those individuals are employable. And that's all supporting the importance of high expectations. So go ahead to the next slide, Tiff. When we're talking about the importance of setting high expectations, we're really talking about a belief and a value that literally everyone has the right to work. Everyone, regardless of how different we look from each other, how we do things differently, where we live and how we function in society, whatever. Regardless of that, regardless of level or significance of disability, if someone wants to work, we all have the opportunity to do that. And we all have the opportunity to experience that and go down that path in the same way, although the way we get supports and the way we access those same paths might look a little bit different. And so we have to set high expectations. And it means that these expectations can be set by anyone. That includes all of you on this call. It includes Tiffany and I as professionals. It includes our colleagues throughout this profession. It includes family. It includes friends, teachers, service providers. And really our expectations, everyone's expectations on any one person can positively or negatively influence a person's vision for themselves. So I challenge you to think back. Have you ever had an experience where you were in a situation where someone told you something about yourself, whether positive or negative, but maybe focus on the negative because these things can stick with you forever? And can you think of a time or a situation where this happened? Someone said something to you or about you and you heard it, and it's never gone away? Because it's these types of ideas or these expectations or lack of expectations that can really influence our own vision of how we see ourselves. They can be very limiting. But what we want to do, we can change that by promoting positive expectations and setting the bar high, setting people up for both failure and success. Because how do we learn? I have failed multiple times throughout my career, and you learn from that. I failed outside of my career. I've had success in both areas. And so those are normal parts of life, and those should be normal parts of life and experience for an individual, regardless of disability. And we really want to set that bar high because we are encouraging employment, and we want to encourage employment as an option for everyone. And as we do that, we're going to tie that back to when we first started this presentation today, is promoting that shift, that culture shift of seeing people with disabilities working in the workforce and working in our communities alongside individuals without disabilities. And ultimately, we may be a little ways off from this, but my hope would be that our office doesn't need to exist because employment is a natural thing regardless of disability. We don't need professionals out there because people are recognizing the true value that any one person, regardless of how they are seen by a medical professional, how they are seen by society, how much they have to contribute in their passion areas. And so that's really the driving force with high expectations. We have to start there to make sure that that we're giving people the opportunity to have these experiences. And thank you for sharing in the chat, Merritt, that yes, you've had those experiences. And if anybody wants to share those specific experiences and you feel comfortable doing that in this arena, please feel free. And if you want to remain anonymous, just private chat Tiffany or myself, and we're happy to share your story, because their impact stories are more impactful than me talking to you for sure. Next slide, please. And why can we set high expectations? Because we have, like in Module 5, we have agencies, supports, resources that help individuals when they have high expectations. They've been promoted to do that they can still achieve their goals. And it means that we can and really ensure that the right supports are in place and everyone has the opportunity to achieve their goals. We can do things like having youth participate in something as simple as household chores and responsibilities. And maybe they get supports in doing that. They may need extra prompts, but don't we all? It also means contributing to team projects, making sure that individual has a voice, even if their voice sounds different than mine, or it comes in a different way than mine does. They can contribute to team projects and have specific roles, and especially leadership opportunities. That's really where all of us build our confidence. We build knowledge about what our skill set is, back to module, I believe it was module 2 that Tiffany talked about. That's same with becoming a volunteer. That's one way to learn. What do you like to do? Do you like to be around people? Do you not like being around people? Do you like being around animals? A wide range of things that volunteering can do as well. And ultimately, again, support the setting of high expectations. Encourage a person to share often about their employment dreams and interests. And we want to do that often because how often does that change? And if you think about it, I hear it all the time. Someone will ask a child, age 5, age 6. Tiffany shared a story from when I think it was age 6 or 7. Someone asked you at that age, when you don't have a disability or a seen disability, what do you want to do when you grow up? I wanted to be a firefighter. I would not do well in that job. But that I was 5 or 6, I believe, as well, if I remember correctly. Do we ask kids with disabilities that same question? Do we ask kids with disabilities that same question as we go through life, as they're getting into, age 13, age 14, we can start looking at employment. Age 18, has that question even been addressed? I do work with Children's Hospital through their transition clinics about having employment conversations with the doctors in the room as a truly important piece of their life. And I meet families all the time that haven't had those conversations yet, and they're adults. Or maybe they're age 25, 26, and they haven't taken that opportunity or had that conversation. And nothing wrong with that, but it certainly just shows us that we can have those conversations much earlier. And when we do that, those higher expectations are set, and a person has more opportunity to kind of explore, to see what they like, what they dislike, where their skills are and where their skills aren't. And then that just ties into the last bullet that I've already kind of said, encouraging early employment experiences like job shadowing, informational interviews, internships, all those types of experiences that we can access through those services and resources that we've mentioned already can really help a person have success. And essentially promoting a path of independence, a path to employment, helps also promote financial success for youth with disabilities. Again, tying all into high expectations. An individual that doesn't go into employment and just relies on public benefits will live in poverty. I can't sugarcoat that because that's just the plain truth. And so we want to, again, encourage independence and financial success through employment and through exploration of that. So next slide, please. All right. So in all of that, the high expectations, encouraging independence, comes through self-determination, through confidence and independence, and exploring what that looks like. And you can do that through employment. With self-determination, that's about learning about yourself, what you like, what you don't like. I've kind of already talked about that. That's how we all learn. I'll give you another example of myself. I grew up in the Midwest and detasseled corn as a 14, 15, and 16-year-old. And I also rode beans, if you know what that means. If you're not from the Midwest, you may not know what I'm talking about. But I learned there that I probably wouldn't like a job out in the heat, outside, and where I was doing manual labor all day. Those types of experiences are how we learn. And so that helps us determine what we like, what we dislike, and helps us learn about ourselves. It also helps us make decisions that are going to better our life. And do we always make the right decisions? No. We rely on others to help us make those decisions, and sometimes we still make the wrong ones. And individuals with disabilities have that right as well, and that right to be self-determined. When it comes to confidence, that's all about learning how to advocate for yourself. And we can help individuals learn how to do that in an appropriate manner and learn about what that looks like. Maybe it's that they want more hours at work. Maybe it's that, like I mentioned before, they need more space. Maybe it's a different shift or requesting a day off. So that's a hard thing to do. And it's hard to know how to do that when you're first in employment. What if you're planning a vacation? What does that look like when you're asking for time off or time away? What does that look like when it comes to your pay? Do you get paid for time off? Do you not get paid? What does that job look like as well? And then with independence, all of this ties together about increasing a person's skills to do these things on their own, have the confidence and self-determination to do that, and with less support. And like I said, we all need support in about every area of our life, but it is about continuing that support, but also feeling more and more confident in being independent and making those decisions. So with that, we're going to jump to our final video of today. And this is Marcella, and she was a parent participant in our video series. The video series was one of them that you watched in the very beginning of today. And this is her viewpoint She was also on Employment for Youth, I should say. She was also a participant in this training, a Brighter Futures training. And so she's going to give her perspective on employment for youth with disabilities and for parents of youth with disabilities in this video. So with that, we will play that for you.
Employment is for everyone. Your life, your goals, real work, real pay. This video is part of an Employment First mini-series focused on encouraging all people with disabilities to consider employment and pursue their goals with the right support. This video features Marcella. Marcella is a mother of 2 adult neurodiverse children. She is a graduate of the JFK Partners LEND program as a Family Fellow. LEND stands for Leadership Education in Neurodevelopmental and Related Disabilities. She strives to empower individuals to tap into their internal resources and guide them to reach their goals. Marcella is a white adult female with shoulder-length blonde hair and is wearing a black top with black-rimmed glasses and a beautiful pearl necklace. Why is employment important for youth?
Why employment is important for our youth? Well, they're a member of society, so it's a social determinant of health. There's self-worth involved, confidence, a sense of belonging, of making a positive contribution to society, and there's always freedom to spend their money however they choose to. I know if I get money from someone, their values might be different than mine, and there's probably some strings attached or expectations on how I'm going to spend that money. But if I'm making my own money, I get to spend it however I want. The other thing to think about is treat your child like anyone else. And then the other part is, for parents in particular, about check your fear factor. There's some fear involved for any parent, but I think particularly a parent of a child with IDD. I know for myself, I had to check my own fears and concerns and issues and get real clear about that so it doesn't rub off on my child. And that way there's freedom for everyone to be in conversation about what is it exactly my child wants. And I'm going to do everything in my power, like most parents. You want the best for your child, and I'm going to empower them and do whatever I can so they live the life that they want, not the life I want.
What message do you have for families about employment?
So my message to family members is provide plenty of opportunities and all different kinds of opportunities, whether you know anything about it or not. It's about having experiences, being curious, treating it like an experiment to dig in and find out from your child, after they do have experiences, process. What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? Asking questions for your job in the future. Do you want to be working outdoors? Do you want to work indoors? What is your energy level? Are you better first thing in the morning, or you like things later on in the evening? Do you anticipate working 40 hours a week or less? Are there certain days of the week that you prefer to work? Do you want to work holidays? Do you want to work weekends? Do you want to have summers off? All these things make a difference to help hone in what is it exactly, and nothing is perfect. So think about how many jobs have you had and what directed you to choose different jobs and different careers. And that will help guide you for your own child. So my final thought is this. You're not going to live forever, and you want your child to be living the life they want to live. And you're going to be happy, and your child is going to be happy when you empower your child to do what they want. They can do it. just like you. They can overcome all kinds of obstacles just like anyone else. They can do whatever they put their mind to it with the right supports.
On the screen is a collage of people representing the beautiful diversity of the human race. Employment is for everyone. Employment is for you. Learn more about employment by scanning the QR code on the screen or visiting www.employmentfirstcolorado.org. Learn more about the Colorado Developmental Disabilities Council by scanning the QR code on the screen or by visiting www.coddc.org. Special thanks to Marcella for sharing her perspectives. The music track is called Motivate by Wavecont and promoted by Chaucic.com. Visit chaucic.com/free-music/all. Creative Commons license CC BY-SA 4.0. Visit creativecommons.org/licenses/BY-SA/4.0. This video was recorded and produced by Tiffany Cron and Vicki Ortiz with the Colorado Office of Employment First. This project has been funded by the Colorado Developmental Disabilities Council.
All right, so we want to thank Marcella for sharing her story, and we provided the link to this video series that's on our website. So if you're interested in the training, the 6 modules that we talked about, the different topics, it's free of charge, and you can do the youth track and the adult track or the family caregiver track. If you're a family caregiver, you can do the youth track. You can get signed up. The information is here. We'll get that link in the chat for you. And again, it's free. You can access it 24/7. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tiffany to wrap it up today.
Thanks, Melanie. I appreciate it. And thank you to those of you putting things in the chat. We're constantly going back and forth. So thank you so much for your engagement today. So some other things we just wanted to share with you that we encourage and love networking and collaborating. And so voice your ideas and your input on youth transition topics. We want to know, this can be, topics for today, topics for tomorrow. This is our world, and we want to help educate. And so I'm excited to hear that, some information is going to be moving forward from this session today. We're interested in hearing stories, any other resources and supports that'd be helpful. If you're interested in staying up to date on Employment First in Colorado, obviously connect with us, learn what we're working on. We're consistently looking at new projects and new things, trying to figure out what are the gaps right now in the field and in employment that we can help address. So any of those things you're interested, then please connect with us. Here's how you can connect with us. On screen to the left is a giant QR code. You can scan that. It'll take you directly to our website, where under the Contact Us page, you can also sign up to be on our mailing list, so our listserv. But we're also on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. There's all of our links there. Melanie can pop those into chat for you here in a minute. Our newsletter and communications, again, that's through that Contact Us. We have the direct link there, or the QR code works as well. You can also email us. We have a general box that we check daily at info@employmentfirstcolorado.org. So it's a great way to get in touch with us and connect with us. But with that leaves us around 15 minutes before the end of the session for any questions that you have. So we would love, you can either unmute, put them in chat, but if you do have any questions for us about today's presentation, please feel free to ask.
Tiffany, hi, this is Christine Cook. How are you?
Good. Hi, Christine.
Hi. I just had a comment. It's a cautionary tale, I think. I know several young people who have disabilities and they're employed, but they're employed part-time. And I'm thinking of 3 people specifically who are definitely capable of full-time and work, and parents who want them to have full-time. And so just the assumption, I think, going in from the start, I see a lot of assumptions that, well, we'll start with part-time and see how it goes. But I think I would just, it's just a comment to encourage folks to, hey, you know what? This seems like it might work. Just go with full time because why not? And it's good for them. And they kind of get stuck in this part, if you can, kind of get stuck in this part-time mode. So just a comment.
Excellent. Yeah. Thanks, Christine. And I know Melanie's probably going to want to chime in on that as well, but I completely agree. I think setting those high expectations and not limiting what we think somebody has the ability to do. It's like you say, sometimes imposing limitations like that can set a precedence for their future and what they even think they're capable of themselves. But yeah, Melanie, I thought you probably want to comment.
Yeah, and I think I agree 100%. And that ties back to those high expectations and making sure that we give individuals even the chance to fail or the chance to have huge success. And I think a lot of, I know a lot of a person thinking they have to limit their work because of their benefits. In some cases, that may be the case, but I don't think it's the majority. And so if that is something that, actually, I don't care if it's something that you're concerned about, even if it's not something you're concerned about, get to a benefits counselor to map that out. Because there might be some confusing letters that show up when you're employed that read one way, but should be interpreted a different way. Or get on Colorado Disability Benefits 101, the website that we shared earlier, to kind of explore that. Ultimately, always get to a benefits counselor to kind of have that mapped out to see what your goals are and how you can achieve those, and work the best with your benefit program so you're not losing the supports that ultimately help you be successful in employment as well. Or maybe you want to lose the supports. Like, those are all, whatever path ends up being the best choice can be discussed at least. And so yeah, if that's something that your youth wants to try, have them give it a shot. There's protections in place with work incentives for the Social Security benefits, for the Medicaid, things like that. So just learn about that if that is a concern.
Excellent. Thanks. Great question. Anybody else have any other questions or thoughts? Loving all of the thank yous in chat. Thank you. Oh, here we go. Jamie asked, does DVR have a program for youth under age 18? They do. So they do offer youth transition services. And so I put the link to that. You'll have to scroll up a little bit to it. And on their webpage, they outline a lot of the services that are offered for youth. They are different from adult services, naturally. But yeah, they do have a comprehensive option, like a package for youth. And on that website, if you go to it, on that page at the very top, is a really great short video that kind of walks through kind of some of their services too. So if videos are a great way of getting information, that's a great way of doing it. Next question. I work at a regional center. Can I use some slides from this webinar to communicate employment first with the agency team members and guardians? We would love to partner with you on that. So if there's an opportunity for us to come in and speak while you're doing that, we would love that. Of course, you can, utilize our stuff. Please leave them branded with our messaging and logo, but we also love to come and present and talk. So if it'd be helpful for us to do that, we would love to join in. And then, Rob, can I get a copy of these slides to share with Center for Independence in Grand Junction, please? Yep. So I think the materials have already been shared with the JFK team, Christine and Dina. So I think they will be passing along the slide decks.
We do still have about 11 minutes left. I would encourage you too, if you have a story to share of your youth with employment or your personal experience with employment, or even going back to sharing stories about having someone not set a high expectation for you. It's always interesting to hear those stories. So feel free to share those as well.
So, and Dina just popped the link in the chat, which should take you to the site where the webinar series is being housed, and the materials for today. So thank you, Dina.
Just a quick observation. I'm wondering if it would be good to redefine the word transition, because it could also be it could just be transition into employment. Because a lot of what you're focusing on is kids that are or young adults that are transitioning out of high school, but they're are individuals that are older than that are transitioning into employment, right? And so it would be great to see it's kind of a prevalent, focus throughout what you're talking about. So it might be good to kind of open that up a little wider and talk to the population of individuals that missed this awareness, when they were graduating from high school, right? And then also just, I'm wondering what kind of training and information sharing is happening with case managers for individuals that are just connected with, their case management agencies and DVR. It might be good to flesh that out a little bit in some of the slides as well. So just some observations on my part.
Perfect. Thank you for that feedback. And yeah, definitely transition is a much bigger conversation. These 6 modules do mostly focus on the younger population in that specific transition. But yes, transition happens into employment at all ages. And we want to see that. If you were missed, which, and I mentioned it before, but I see that it's more than a handful of times. And I go into children's hospital and meet with families. And so definitely something that we want people to constantly be having these conversations with individuals. If it hasn't been broached before, regardless of age, we want people to still know that it's a possibility. And there's supports to help you do that. So thank you for bringing all those points up, and we'll definitely have to look at getting that added in or into other presentations.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Go ahead, Rob.
Hi, good morning. Thank you very much for this presentation. We're happen to be in this very stage as we speak, and so it's perfect for our family. But 2 points. One, I work with the Center for Independence here in Grand Junction as a parent advisor, and I work with our blind and low vision youth in our state as well. And so for one, I'm going to propose this to our youth group that was recently created. My daughter is blind, and she has some peers and some friends that got together and they created this Young Visionaries group. And essentially it's just young folks in these transition and young adult stages that are living together through our community. So one point on that specifically is one of our barriers is we don't have orientation and mobility training available in the state of Colorado through DVR. And so our young lady's 17, and she frankly wants to own her own business, and I'm helping set her up to achieve that goal. But there's these barriers in our area that even when we do want to go out and start these goals and set these accomplishments, that our blind and low vision are not receiving the supports that they need in order to do this. And so I'm just gently reminding all of our teams not to forget our blind and low vision kiddos, because they are such a low population that they don't always get highlighted specifically, but I'm happy to do that. But also, some of these novel groups that we're creating are creating a potential for these presentations as well as informing our local community, because, when Isabel shows up to tell DVR what her plans are, they often get a glazed look because of those low expectations. But I'm here to tell you this young lady's rocking it, and she's going to meet those goals. So like I've heard before, either help us or get out of the way, but we're going to do it. So thank you for this presentation. That was fantastic. Set of resources that I'm immediately going to start digging in, so I know what my Thursday is going to be. So again, thank you very much. A great job.
You're welcome. And a couple of points that come to mind as I hear what you're saying is through our office, we have, I would say, a decent sized listserv, and we do a lot of stuff on social media. So if you have, if your daughter would like to share more about her group, her youth, the leadership group essentially is what it sounds like, that they put together, we're happy to promote those types of things and get the word out. And our stuff does go statewide and actually goes outside of our state too. So that's a consideration. And then last I knew, DVR did have a mobility supports. I'm hoping it's not just in the Front Range metro area, but they have a division that does that. And then also, I wonder if, I don't know what type of self-employment your daughter's thinking about, but there is the Business Enterprise Program, BEP, within DVR. I know they're still around. I used to work for them. So they're about self-employment, a specific type of self-employment. So it may not be a good match, but that might be a conversation too that you have with DVR. But just a couple of ideas that popped in as you're talking. So I wanted to make sure and share those.
I just wanted to quickly add, I took the seminar you guys are talking about last year, and just a follow-up from where I am at since then. So I've been in touch with, my son is going to turn 18 this summer, and I've been in touch with DVR trying to get prospects for where and what he could do. But the challenge I'm facing is, I think I mentioned it earlier, he has limited communication and has issues with behavior, mostly due to autism as well as OCD. So sometimes he needs more of a behavior support. And I'm not sure if just working with a job coach at a job site, he would be successful. So I reached out to his school, given that his IEP has transition-related goals. And we're still ironing out the kinks, whether school can actually help and work with DVR at the same time. But I'm being told, perhaps if it's the best way to say it or not, I'm not sure. But I'm told I'm double dipping resources, like school and DVR at the same time. Any thoughts on how I can get past this so he can actually try an opportunity DVR provides? So that's kind of my hurdle at this point.
Yeah. And I have your email, Preeti, so not to take up too much time
Sure.
For today's session, but yeah, I think both Melanie and I have some good ideas, because I do know DVR offers services when kids are in school during transition. And so, yeah, there might be some confusion points on maybe what the services are or what they're looking for to maybe avoid that double dipping potentially, but there should be some supports offered there. So we can, we'll follow up with you to make sure you get what you need. But yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And this happened, this type of conversation, these type of things happen with these different funding streams. And you see it with Medicaid, with DVR, with benefits counseling services, for example, or even who's paying for what when. And so the systems don't always work the greatest together, but they can. And so it's just a matter of sometimes just looking at that a little bit more closely to navigate the sequencing of services. Essentially is when do you use one funding stream versus the next, and how does that look, and how does that work together best? So
okay, thank you, Melanie.
Excellent. Yeah, and great questions, Preeti. Excellent. So I know we are about there on time. So with that, we'll transition to our last slide, which is just a big thank you. Thank you for taking time out of your day on a Thursday to listen to our session, for us to tell you about A Brighter Future, Navigating the World of Disability and Employment curriculum that we did, that was funded by the Developmental Disabilities Council. So again, with that, thank you so much, and we hope you have a wonderful rest of your Thursday. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.